Kevin Porter for Congress, kevinforcongress.com. And today we're going to talk a little bit about why we need to keep and maintain our family values in this country. So first off, who am I? My name is Kevin Porter, and I'm running for Congress, federal Congress in District 11, Florida, just west of Orlando. And I am a person who is for family values. I myself am a married man, married for 15 going on 16 years. And I have 4 children. Yes, 2 boys and 2 girls. The oldest is 15, the youngest is 7. So family values are a thing that really hit home for me. And I understand the struggles that this generation is going through as a father myself, and understand that action needs to be taken. Steps need to be taken to reconcile our future generations with, in some cases, with family values, because they're on a path. A lot of kids are on a path towards destruction. Why? It's not our fault. We're doing a great job as parents. It's this society's fault. They're getting bombarded with all sorts of garbage. Social media has basically taken control of our youth and inundated them with all sorts of crazy thoughts about who they are, and confusion many times. At least there's a tax in that sense. So if you have a child who's suffering with that, my heart goes out to you. If you have a child who doesn't suffer with that, all the children have this in common essentially these days, that they're beginning just invaded with this thought process and this way of being that, hey, I don't know who I am, and everything's fluid and everything's relevant. In the end, it comes down to the gender agenda. The gender agenda, in my opinion, is one of the most diabolic, scheming, horrible, ridiculous things that has ever happened in our country, in this world. Why? Because, well, they're just people who have gender dystopia, I believe is the name, where they feel maybe confused inside. We've all had that friend or that person we know that since they're young, they've kind of identified a little more of the feminine or masculine side, depending on the sex. I remember when I was a kid, I had a friend who, his room was like a girl's room. It had Barbies and My Little Pony and all that stuff. And I was like, is this your sister's room? And he's like, no, this is my room. I'm like, really? And it's just, that's what he liked. Nobody pushed him to do that. He just liked to play that way, right? Doesn't mean he's homosexual. Doesn't mean that necessarily. But, people push him that way because of that. It just means he's more attracted towards the feminine side, right? In that case. And maybe he's confused. Maybe he's confused about who he is because, we're human beings. We're fallen people. We're imperfect people. We're born with genetic diseases. We're born with sickness. We're born with all sorts of things that are in our DNA that allow us to be corrupted, essentially, right? So, but what the problem is with the agenda today is that, our kids are getting pushed towards this confusion, this gender dystopia, and they're believing that they're all confused. Why? Because some influencer that they maybe identify with a bit. Oh, my cross is crooked there. Maybe, there's an influencer they identify with a bit they think is cool. And all of a sudden this influencer decides they're going to be emo, or they decide they're going to be transsexual, or they decide they're going to be whatever, right? I've talked about this in some of my other videos. But my daughter, for example, in her class, she's one of 2 heterosexual people in the classroom that she knows of. A group of friends, right? All the girls, essentially, in some way or another, or most of them, identify as one thing or the other. It could be non-binary, it could be homosexual, it could be transsexual, it could be, I don't even know. There's even names for it that I don't even understand. Pronouns, this, that. I don't even get this pronoun game, to be honest. I haven't really spent the time to really figure it out either, but it's just confusing, all of it, right? So you get a youth that is confused about who they are a lot of times, and doesn't know what to do with themselves, because they're not sure who they are. And this is where we step in, because why all this confusion is going to lead towards destruction. Sure, you could say, oh, it's just a phase. For some of it, it will be just a phase. For others, it will be a trap for them to lead them down a path of destruction. And we need to stop this. And God forbid, we don't want this to happen. We need to stop it before it's too late. How do we do this, and what's the solution? Now, social media essentially is built on a bunch of algorithms. Okay? When you're on your timeline on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be, whatever social media it is, even YouTube, when you're scrolling down your timeline, you will see all sorts of content that is interesting to you. So no two timelines are equal. No two timelines are the same. In the case of interest, you show interest towards something. Well, they're going to show you more videos that are relevant to that something to get you to capture your attention on the platform. Because the more attention you use on the platform, the more ads they sell. So essentially, it's a attention game. Essentially, the social media platforms want to get attention slaves. It's a harsh wording, but it's true. Their job is to keep you stuck there as much as possible, our youth, and so they can sell as many ads as possible. They make it addictive. So what happens is you start going down a rabbit trail, and you'll notice that you start seeing all these relevant videos, especially on YouTube. You start seeing all these videos relevant to what you're looking at, and all these suggestions according to what your personal path is, right? So let's say you have a teenager who's 15 years old, a female who's maybe watches some video about a girl talking about being non-binary. Okay, well, this non-binary girl, she watches some of that video, and just out of curiosity, what's going on? What is this? Well, what they're going to start doing is they're going to start putting more and more content like that in front of their face. Okay, so it could be this person talking about how I became non-binary, why I became non-binary, whatever. They watch this video, and then they start getting invaded with all these other videos. Why I became a non-binary, and 3 steps to become non-binary, or how people all should be non-binary, or whatever it may be. So they start just getting invaded with this content, and just surrounded with it and cornered with it, right? And we as parents, we're sitting here and we have no idea most of the time this is happening, what they're consuming in their timelines. We may have an idea, we may step in every now and then, but it's insane how sneaky these platforms are, and they don't care. They don't care about the well-being of our children. They don't give a rat's you-know-what about the well-being of our generation. All they care about is money. So the more they retain that person, the more money they make. And how do they get the attention? It's through control. It's through control tactics and techniques. So what's our solution? How do we fight against this? Well, when the founding fathers, founded the United States of America, we did our best, or we, I guess you say we as our forefathers, right? Did our best to essentially create the first ever democracy in the world. And this democracy would then turn into, it was the first experiment in democracy in the world, which is the biggest success in the world, right? We have many countries that have copied our model since then. Though, it wasn't perfect, everything they did. It wasn't at all perfect how they did everything. But they did their best, okay? So one of the things that the foundational values of our country had to do with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Does that make sense? So essentially, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So whenever you're looking at any subject going on in our country, we should use that as our ruler. Does this guarantee life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for our teenagers, for our children, what they're doing? And if not, then steps should be taken in order to stop it, right? And that's where it gets tricky. People get with like government overreach and how much should the government get involved? And some believe it shouldn't. I believe the government should get involved. They should get involved when it comes to our children, when it comes to protecting them. Does that make sense? For example, the very controversial abortion stance. I don't think our government should allow abortion to happen, right? The states, it should be on the state level what goes on, not the federal government, right? They should protect life, and that's what the federal government is moving towards with the Supreme Court, and God willing in the future as well. Now, in the sense of social media, I really believe that the government should step in. It should step in, and it should clean up, and it should put rules, right, about this. For example, if our kids are going to use social media to connect, it should be safe and secure. They shouldn't have all this garbage in there with all these influencers, these adults, these people. It should be kept safe within their own generation, right? If it's youth on a platform, it should only be youth on a platform. Does that make sense? And if there's going to be adults, it has to be certified and protected and vetted adults that are in the platform as influencers or as somebody who speaks into these children's lives. But that's not what it is. They just get bombarded with crap all the time. So, 18 plus, just garbage. And it's more and more sexualized, right? Unfortunately, everything's become sexualized on these platforms. So we're getting this perversion this extreme perversion going on of our youth. They're under attack, and we need to step in. Our government needs to draft and create laws that will protect our children from this garbage. Let me give you an example. One of the biggest platforms out there is what's called TikTok, right? You've probably heard of it. TikTok is, originally it was Musical.ly, and it was like a dance platform where, you created just dances following, popular songs. It was cool. Actually, it's pretty cool. My daughter used to do it when she was like 7, 8. She used to, basically dance to all these videos and have lots of fun, and it was great. And I wouldn't let her post anything publicly. It was all private, but, and then Musical.ly got bought up by TikTok. TikTok is owned by the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, do you hear me? Chinese Communist Party owns TikTok. And what do? They essentially make it so that our children become slaves of their propaganda, whatever propaganda they push inside the platform. It's up to them. Now they're selling advertising as well. So TikTok is just raking in billions of dollars in advertising revenue, mostly from America and these other countries from the West. So we're financing the communist government, a communist government that's hostile towards us. Their children aren't allowed, or their teenagers are not allowed to use TikTok, even though it's a Chinese invention or it's a Chinese product. It's forbidden in China for youth to use TikTok. You can only use it, when you're 23 or older or something like that. So what are they doing? It's this hypocrisy, extreme hypocrisy, right? They know that they're weaponizing. It's a weapon to trap our youth. TikTok. It's to trap our youth. And you may think, but it's innocent. It's not when you see what they start indoctrinating them with. Sure, if they just used it for dancing to songs and stuff like that, it might be innocent, right? Still, there'd be this whole idea of paying money to the Chinese Communist Party, but nonetheless, who's declared themselves not an ally of America, essentially, and is doing joint military ventures with Russia right now and exerting their muscle to try to become the world's new superpower, right? And it's just stupid. Like we're building up, we've created a monster, essentially. They're using TikTok as a weapon to indoctrinate and turn our youth into confused zombies. You see what I mean? I don't know if you've seen, but recently a lot of the military, not a lot of it, but I've seen military campaigns that have to do with gender identity and pronouns and transsexuals, and it's like, instead of focusing on being all we can be and being the best we can be, it's come down to this agenda again, right? About sexuality. Instead of focusing on building up a good army, they're just creating confusion. Does that make sense? And so the Chinese Communist government is pushing that agenda as well in our country. It's insane. And then they have all the data on us as well over there. Data is power. In the old days, it was about countries, right? Land. Whoever conquered the most land won. Then it became about machine dominance. And of course land as well, but mostly machines. Whoever had the best machines, they dominated the war, right? World War II, we had the best machines, we won. Essentially, in a nutshell. Now it's about intelligence, right? Whoever has the most intelligence, the best algorithms, they win. We're talking about hacks. We're talking about ransom. We're talking about the Chinese government having all this data on us and understanding how we move, how we be, what we talk about, how we do things. They have so much data on us with data science that they can figure us out, and they can do things to manipulate and push and indoctrinate. They can push in agendas. They can do all sorts of garbage, right? So this is something that needs to stop. We need to protect our youth, okay? We need to go back to strong, family values. We need to push these family values. And we need to push them hard. And so be with me on that, okay? And when you vote for me, I will push for that. Yeah, I'm a family man. I'm a Christian man. I respect anyone who doesn't believe, of course, right? Our country was founded on Christian values. Culturally, morally, the founding fathers were Christian. And, they drafted the Constitution to basically be the executive, how do you call it, the practical implementation of that Christianity. That's why they don't mention Christianity there. They don't want a church state again, like they ran from. They wanted Christianity there, but they didn't want the church running the thing, so they separated the two, right? But it's a Christian-founded country. And with Christian values as our absolutes. And if we don't have those moral Christian values as our absolutes, we'll be in a lot of trouble. I stand for that, right? I'm a Christian, strong believer, faithful husband, faithful father, faithful friend. want to be a faithful friend to you as well. So please, coming up during these midterms, vote for me. I'm running for Congress 11. You'll see me as an independent. You may think, oh, but an independent, can they win this and that? Well, they'll win if they get voted for. It's a popular vote. Our party politics are in a mess right now. And there's a lot of corruption on both sides. So our current incumbent who's running for office in District 11 is really advanced in his age. He's quite sick too, as far as I've been hearing, really sick. And he's actually, essentially what they're planning on doing, I've heard what they're planning on doing is as soon as, if he gets voted in, then come March, April, he's going to find a successor to pass the baton on to, right? So you don't know who you're voting for. It's someone who is really absent. And I don't like to talk bad about anyone. I'm just saying how it is. When you're older and you're over 70, you're out of touch, right? I'm 39. I understand our generation. I understand you as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a person, because I'm still in touch with what's going on in the society, with what's going on with you. So please consider voting for me. And don't forget to visit my website at kevin4congress.com. So it's kevin4congress.com. Head over there too and check out what I stand for. Watch my videos. I got plenty of lives there, videos, content you can consume. And please vote for me this coming midterm election, okay? These coming midterm elections, I should say. Thank you so much. So God bless you and your family. Let's stand together. Let's be strong. Let's take back our country. Let's bring it back to our moral Christian values. Let's get it out of the hands of these people who are just destroying it.